What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here as always on the Casa D18 Studios Channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade JJ Williams, and we're going to kick off the week with The Graduate, starring Anne Bancroft, Dustin Hoffman, Buck Henry, Catherine Ross, William Daniels, Elizabeth Wilson, Murray Hamilton, and Norman Fell. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. As I said in the introduction, it's Monday. Happy Monday. And we're going to kick off our week this week with The Graduate. And as our movie opens, Benjamin Braddock, after earning his bachelor's degree from an East Coast college, returns to his parents' home in Pasadena, California. During his graduation party, he is urged to join a business dealing in plastics, which is being deemed the material of the future. Benjamin cringes as his parents continue to praise him during the party, so he retreats to his bedroom until Mrs. Robinson, the wife of his father-in-law's partner, asks that he drive her home. Once there, she tries to seduce him. Now, initially, he resists her advances, but his failed attempts to connect with his parents make him feel isolated. Desperate for any kind of connection, he invites Mrs. Robinson to the Taft Hotel, where he registers under the pseudonym Mr. Gladstone. Benjamin spends the summer floating in his parents' pool by day and meeting Mrs. Robinson at the hotel by night. During one of their trysts, Mrs. Robinson reveals that her loveless marriage only resulted when she accidentally became pregnant with her daughter, Elaine. When Benjamin jokingly suggests that he date Elaine, Mrs. Robinson angrily forbids it. However, Benjamin's parents, unaware of the affair, are eager for their son to date Elaine and relentlessly pester him to ask her out, as does Mr. Robinson. Benjamin ends up giving in and reluctantly takes Elaine on a date. When he sees how upset Mrs. Robinson is, Benjamin attempts to sabotage his date by ignoring Elaine, driving recklessly, and taking her to a strip club. She flees the club in tears, but Benjamin, feeling remorseful, runs out after her, apologizes, and then kisses her. They eat at a drive-in restaurant where they bond over their shared uncertainty of their future. After they visit the Taft Hotel for a late-night drink, and the staff greets Benjamin as Mr. Gladstone, Elaine deduces that Benjamin is having an affair with a married woman. Benjamin swears that the affair is over and makes plans for another date with Elaine for the following day. Now, in order to prevent Benjamin from dating Elaine, Mrs. Robinson threatens to tell Elaine about their affair. So, in order to thwart this, Benjamin reveals to Elaine that the married woman is her mother. Elaine is so upset that she refuses to see Benjamin again and returns to school at Berkeley. Benjamin follows her to Berkeley, hoping to regain her affections. Elaine initially rejects him and briefly dates medical student Carl Smith, but then learns that her mother lied to her when she claimed that Benjamin raped her, and the pair reconcile. Benjamin pushes for an early marriage, but Elaine is uncertain despite her feelings for him. Later, an angry Mr. Robinson arrives at Berkeley and confronts Benjamin in his boarding house room, where he informs him that he and his wife will be getting a divorce very soon, and he threatens to have Benjamin jailed if he continues to see Elaine. He then forces Elaine to leave college in order to marry Carl. Benjamin drives back to Pasadena and breaks into the Robinson home, searching for Elaine. Instead, he finds Mrs. Robinson, who calls the police and claims that her house is being burglarized. She then tells Benjamin that he cannot prevent Elaine's marriage to Carl. Benjamin flees the Robinson home and drives back to Berkeley. There, he visits Carl's fraternity and discovers from one of Carl's frat brothers that the wedding will take place in Santa Barbara later that day. He rushes towards the area near the church when his Alfa Romeo, which he received as a graduation present from his parents, runs out of gas, causing him to jog towards the church, and he arrives just as the ceremony ends. Benjamin's desperate appearance in the glass church gallery stirs Elaine into defying her mother and fleeing the sanctuary. Benjamin fights off Mr. Robinson and repels the wedding guests by swinging a large cross, which he uses to barricade the church doors, trapping them inside. Elaine and Benjamin escape aboard a bus and sit amongst the startled passengers. As the bus drives on, their ecstatic smiles slowly fade away as they begin to look toward an uncertain future, and our movie comes to its close. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, I had never seen The Graduate before this. Knew the gist of the story. Young man seduced by an older woman. I knew about the Simon and Garfunkel songs in this. Scarborough Fair, Sound of Silence, of course, Mrs. Robinson. But I had never seen the film. So now I've seen it. And while I enjoyed it, for the most part, I feel like it's a little bit overhyped. Personal opinion. I liked the beginning. I liked the setup. I liked how Mrs. Robinson seduced him, and he ended up becoming essentially a sex slave for her. And I even enjoyed how he ended up falling naturally for Elaine and kind of digressing and moving his relationship from Mrs. Robinson over to Elaine. What I didn't like was the pettiness, the attempts to sabotage him and Elaine. I mean, telling your daughter that he raped you. I have issue with that. And I know that it happens way more than we like to give it credit for, where the women will actually lie on the guys and the guys will suffer that fate because the believability falls to the women. They are the weaker species, supposedly. So it's easier to believe that a man would force themselves on them as opposed to believe the fact that a woman would take advantage of the situation. I'm not here to start any kind of feud or, you know, revolt in the comments. I'm just speaking, especially from a 60s standpoint when this movie was made. You got to look at things in context. So I didn't really enjoy that part. I did enjoy the ending, though, because there were a lot of bits and pieces in the ending that I now realize have been parodied in other movies before. And I immediately see this stuff happening, and I'm like, wait a minute. I've seen that in Wayne's World too. Going to the church, pounding on the glass, screaming no, interrupting the marriage, bride running off, securing the doors with the cross. In Wayne's World 2, it was a guitar, jumping off onto the bus. That whole sequence towards the end of Wayne's World 2, straight up lifted from The Graduate. And I get the joke even better now. It already was funny to me because I love Wayne's World. So I already laughed at the scene. but now seeing the context into where it was lifted from makes it funnier. I thought Norman Fell as the guy that runs the boarding house was great in his small but interesting and pivotal role, especially when you consider Norman Fell would be Mr. Roper, the original landlord on Three's Company. So he goes from being a landlord running a boarding house in The Graduate to being a landlord running an apartment where Jack Tripper and all of them live on Three's Company. William Daniels, Mr. Feeney, is in this as Dustin Hoffman, Benjamin's father. I thought that was great. I've only seen William Daniels from Mr. Feeney on. Obviously, I know he was the voice of Kid at Knight Rider, but you don't see him there. Physically, I've only seen him in his older years. So going back 25 years and seeing him as a guy in his late 30s, maybe early 40s, that was kind of cool. I enjoyed that. I did find this movie entertaining. I did find it enjoyable, but I do find it to be a little bit overrated. So with that in mind, when it comes to my rating for The Graduate, I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 5 stars. What do you guys think, though? Let me know. If you're watching the premiere, leave your thoughts and comments over here. If you're watching on demand later in the day, leave your thoughts and comments down here. Let's have that conversation, that discussion, that debate, that interaction that I'm always asking you guys for in the comments below. And make sure you guys tune in tomorrow, right here to the Casa D18 Studios Channel, as we once again open up the doors for Stat Boy Sports Bar, featuring Dory Lou. The food is hot, the beer is ice cold, and the seats are warm, so pull yourself up a bar stool and engage with their barkeeps, Stat Boy Mike and Dory Lou, as they discuss the week in professional sports. And then we'll be back here on Wednesday for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews as we take a look at Mona Lisa Smile, starring Julia Roberts, Kirsten Dunst, Julia Stiles, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Jennifer Goodwin, Tori Amos, Marcia Gay Harden, Topher Grace, Kristen Ritter, John Slattery, and Dominic West. You don't want to miss out on any of that content right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel. We got Stat Boy Sports Bar featuring Dory Lou, Mona Lisa Smile coming up, and so much more in store for you as we continue back to school month right here on Renegades Reviews. Again, you don't want to miss any of it, so make sure you smash that like button, make sure you're subscribed, make sure that notification bell is turned on so you don't miss out anytime a video drops right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel or anytime we go live, as is the case with Stat Boy Sports Bar, Open Mic Night, pay-per-view PLE watch-along coverage, etc. Share these videos with your family, friends, loved ones, coworkers, movie fanatics, cinephiles in your life, fans of Dustin Hoffman, fans of Anne Bancroft, fans of Buck Henry, fans of William Daniels, fans of The Graduate, fans of Simon and Garfunkel, anybody you can think of that would enjoy this content in this video, share it with them, as it's the only way we're going to keep my visibility up in YouTube's algorithms now that we are in fact a monetized channel right here on the platform. Thank you once again to everybody out there who joined me and tuned in today. It means so much more to me than you guys will ever know. I will see you guys next time.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.